watching to SBRtv. I'm Peter Loshak. We are going to look at our football openers right now with John Ryan, which you do every Monday when the lines come out. We're going to look at Week 3 in NFL right now and Week 4 in college football. John Ryan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
All right, so I know you started a thread on the forum with your picks, and you wanted to talk about that before we start the show. Why did you want to mention it?
Well, I think it's a good place for people to learn about some of the handicapping lessons that I've learned over the last 18 years. And we're off to a good start. We're 8-2 with the plays that I'm releasing in the NFL. We had one push yesterday with the 49ers, but things were off to a good start. And it's a positive atmosphere. Everybody contributes, and
sure,
I think we're all learning, including myself.
8-2, is that just big money lines, or what is that?
8-2 against the spread.
8-2 against the spread? Get out of here. Are you serious?
Correct. I have to admit, it took. I was a little fearful of putting my plays out there because you know what happens if you lose.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
We all know what happens when you lose. You're no good to anybody, and you shouldn't be breathing on this planet.
Absolutely. Wow. All right.
I found it to be pretty much the opposite. It's been very encouraging. A lot of the people are following along, and I myself have gotten some good ideas from some of the people who are making posts.
We are talking with John Ryan, previewing the openers for college football Week 4 and NFL Week 3. Let's move on to the lines for NFL Week 3. John Ryan, nothing really jumps out at me. I like Carolina -4 a little bit, maybe New Orleans -4. Which lines have caught your eye on the openers as maybe having a little bit of initial value?
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the line does in the Giants-Philadelphia game. Philly right now is -3, and in my opinion, the Giants are not a very good team at all. In fact, I would not be surprised if they lost tonight. The Giants are coming off a short week, having to play in Philly. And as I stated so many times on the thread in my articles, that it was just a matter of time with that offensive line until Vic got injured.
Right, sure. And here it
unfortunately,
happened.
he got injured.
Week 2.
Although the backup was solid in his debut last night, it's a totally different team when Vic is not in the game.
Absolutely.
There's just so many less threats that a defense would have to cover. As we know, the Giants are banged up in the back end of the secondary and are very weak at that spot. But if Vic does not play, are the Eagles going to be able to exploit the vertical pass routes? I probably think no. So that's a game where I think the line, it's going to be interesting to see what that line does. That must have been a very hard line to come up with by the odds makers.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, I wouldn't have known whether to make it 6 or 3.
Right. There's been a lot of early discussion about Detroit and Minnesota. Now, Detroit's sort of all of a sudden become this public darling. They're 3.5-point favorite at Minnesota. A bunch of people, including the poster Laker Boy, have identified Minnesota. They think that's going to be upside with good value. And another guy, poster Vitologist, agrees, and he says that we should wait, that the public's going to pound Detroit and push it up higher, and then coming in on Minnesota late in the week at a better number might be a good play. What do you think about that line?
It looks like the flows are pushing Detroit.
Right.
Are on Minnesota, actually, the home dog.
Oh, okay.
I'm seeing a lot of 3.5s now.
Right.
It opened at 4. Granted, that's only a half-point move. But I could see reason why Minnesota would get some support. Detroit is notoriously an inconsistent team. Maybe this year is different. But for them to be, how often do you find Detroit as a road favorite? It was similar to Cleveland this past weekend being a road favorite against the Colts.
What do you think about Green Bay at Chicago? Green Bay is a 3.5-point favorite. Obviously, they're looking great to start the season. What do you make of that line? You think that might be a bit of a trap and that Chicago might be a good bet?
Yeah, I think Chicago, I have concerns about Green Bay. They were losing to Carolina.
Right.
And for what it's worth, Carolina was a 20-star play I actually released on the thread for everybody to enjoy the roller coaster that game was.
20 stars.
But Carolina
That's a
was
lot
dominating
of stars,
that game with a rookie quarterback, and they've given up 400 yards passing now in 2 straight games.
Right.
And granted, last year they managed to get through the season and win the Super Bowl with a banged-up defense that was, not a good one. But this year I have some real concerns about how they're defending. And, Chicago runs that offense that's based on timing. Where they're not really, the quarterback is never really throwing to a receiver. He's throwing to space. And Green Bay has really shown that they have real difficult time covering offenses like that. So I think Chicago is going to end up being a play for me.
Really? And then you talked about Carolina. Cam Newton's looking pretty good so far, right?
Oh, incredible.
So now now Carolina's only a 3.5-point favorite at home against Jacksonville. Obviously a team with a lot of problems and questions. Do you think that might be a good bet?
Yeah, I would lean on Carolina until proven wrong.
Right.
Obviously, Cam Newton's a rookie. He's going to have one of those games where he's going to throw 4 interceptions, and it happens to every single rookie that ever was. Even the great Tom Brady had some bad games when he was in his first couple of years. Jacksonville, is a defensive-minded team that could cause some problems for Newton. But quite frankly, Newton's been able to make reads in defenses that I thought were remarkable. That some quarterbacks never really grasp getting a grip on. A name comes to mind is Donovan McNabb, arguably maybe a Hall of Fame type of quarterback based on his stats. But McNabb's ability to read defenses and go through his progressions is nowhere close to where Newton is after 2 games.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So many quarterbacks in the NFL, you'll see them. They'll look at the number 1 receiver and then they'll check down. It happens in college too. But Newton actually surveys the field. And I think that's one of the most incredible things of his first 2 games.